Now that's a good little tone setter right there. I like that little song. I always like that song. Nice little tone setter to get us started in the morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Morning Glow. Welcome to another episode of the Morning Glow. Got a great broadcast lineup for you this here morning. Got a great broadcast lineup this morning, and can't wait to hear the responses that we're gonna have on what we're talking about today. What we're talking about today. Let me unmute everybody, Mike. I'm gonna mute everybody, Mike, and I'm gonna say, "Good morning, y'all. How y'all doing this morning?"
Good
Good
morning.
morning. Good morning.
Can y'all out there in television? Can y'all feel the energy? Let's do this again. Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing this morning?
Good
Yeah.
Good
morning.
morning.
Lord,
Leonard doesn't change. It's just
yeah,
monitors.
yeah. Yeah, Negro. I said good morning the first time, Negro. You heard me when I said the first time. Stop playing. Why are you playing? You heard me when I said good morning. What else you want, son? What else you want me to say?
That's my buddy.
We got a topic we're gonna talk about today. There we go. I can hear that a little better. We got a topic that we're gonna talk about today. But before we get into the topic, man, everybody's good, right? Everybody's good. This might be a boom dropper, a bomb dropper.
Well, I may have to leave a little bit early. I'll let everyone know.
Okay.
My sister goes into surgery today, so I
Okay.
may have to leave a little bit early
That's
on
fine.
some
That's fine.
updates. So
We pray
if I
everything.
do and I don't come back, I'll be back tomorrow.
Okay.
Just dealing with
Absolutely.
some family things.
Absolutely. What we're talking about today is and I want to know, can this be a good thing, or a lot of times when it's being said, is it a bad or negative thing? But when someone look at, say, a mother look at her son, and she said, "You just like your daddy. You just like your daddy." Chrissy, typically, is that a good thing?
It depends on who their daddy is.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's right.
I mean, if their dad is someone who is a responsible man that's there for the family and taking care of the family, educated, then that wouldn't be a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We
Now
get a
if you use it in a negative light,
mm-hmm.
if your dad is
Echo
absent,
from somebody's line. We getting some echo from someone's line. We getting a little echo sound from it. Let me see. I don't know if the mic is turned up or what it is. Try now, Chris. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris. Oh Lord, I muted you. Oh Lord, I muted the wrong one. There you go. Now try it, Chris.
So if it's meant negative, that means I guess the father's not there, or he's in the he's gang banging or different things, not a good role model. So if that's a negative connotation, I feel like it would be wrong because no one wants to feel that type of hurt. You already hurting because it's an absent father, and then for you to say that, that's just bringing a more negativity, and we wonder why young men act out so much. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying that's the only reason why men act out, but that is some of the reasons that some young men act out, because they don't have a strong black role model in their lives to teach them to do different.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want your sons out there, you keep on calling them, you are no good, nothing. You will never be nothing. You will never go nowhere. Because I was taught words have power.
Mm-hmm.
Words have power. You speak things into existence. God has given us a power to speak those things as not as though they were. So we have a power. Our words have power, and we speak things over people. We can speak blessings, or we can speak curses, and we can
Mm-hmm.
do it to ourselves as well. So if you constantly saying "I am nothing," then that's what you're going to be. But if
Mm-hmm.
you start saying, like, you know what, I am somebody, like at Grumman State University, where everybody is somebody with a validated fee sheet and an ID. but
Lord.
but you are somebody special,
Exactly.
and you are what you say you are, and your children are whatever you say. So if you're going around saying you're stupid, you're dumb, you're ignorant, you'll never amount to nothing, don't get mad when that comes to light.
That's good. That's good. And what do you say to that? In a lot of cases, in a lot of situations, if a mother looks at their son and say, "You just like your daddy," is that a good thing, or what do you get out of that, Alan?
Well, I agree with Christy. It's all in the manner that you're saying it. But to some mothers, a gangbanger is a good man. You know what I'm saying? So it all depends how you're using it.
Hmm.
But that's something I used to hear a lot. I resemble my father a lot. And I used to hear that from my mom a lot. My dad
Hmm.
made a lot of mistakes. Great father, but made some mistakes. He was kind of absent because he was military, but overall, good provider and all of that.
Hmm.
And my mom used to say that a lot. You're just like your father. You remind me so much of your father. I was like, it used to confuse me because I'd be like, and I'm a girl. Okay,
Hmm.
is
Yeah.
that a bad thing or is that a good thing? Because
Hmm.
daddy likes a lot of women, you know? So is that is she saying something negative about me or is it that and I that okay, so to be transparent, that traumatized me for a while through to and through my adulthood. I felt I
Hmm.
had to deal with certain things, and I've talked to my mom and dad both about this, which yesterday was their 48th anniversary. Happy
Congratulations.
anniversary, mom and
Absolutely.
dad.
Absolutely.
They pulled through a lot, and it's possible. Love is out there. However, I tell, I would ask myself, why does she always say this? Um, because they're always going through something, and it's not positive every time, you know. So I asked my mom as an adult. I said, "Mom, I don't want to anger you because I come from a Latino background. You have to watch how you speak, to your parents. You
Hmm.
have to speak to them very respectful." Said, "I want to ask you something as an adult, and it's always bothered me throughout growing up. You used to always say that I'm just like my father. I remind you so much of my father." And my father just gave like a look like I knew this was coming sooner or later. One of those.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I looked at my mom and I said, and I don't, if I'm crossing the line, I don't want to, start any mess. I don't want you getting upset with me. I don't, you know, my mama, she'll still smack me in the face if she has to. Okay,
Yeah.
there's no age difference there.
Hmm.
So when I asked her that, she said, "So does this mean you took it negative?" I said, "Well, Dad did a lot of bad stuff. So how was I supposed to take that?" And then she says to me, "Well, he was a great provider. He had this, he had that, all these positive things." I said, "But when you would say it to me, you were always angry with me."
Wow.
So
And
it
timing is a lot.
always, I'm sorry?
I say, and timing is a lot. The time that they said makes a huge difference. But go ahead.
I think so. And I always made it my business to make sure that I was never a cheater, that I was confused on what I should put up with and not put up with. Today, of course, thank God, God has got me past all of that. But that was one of the things that I had to ask them before they left this earth. What was that all about? Like, because she didn't do that with my brother or sister, but I really do. I look a lot. Like, if you put hair on my dad, I look a lot like him.
Mhm.
I'm just a little darker, but I do. I look a lot like dad. So I couldn't understand. That was a little bit frustrating and a little confusing growing up as to why, because I remember a lot of the negative growing up, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
anytime she said it, she wasn't smiling. It wasn't like, "Oh, you're so cute. You look just like your daddy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You act just like
Yeah.
your daddy."
Exactly.
It was one of these, "Oh my God, you remind me of your dad so much." So I'd be like, "What did I do? What did dad do wrong? What did I do?" Because I adore my dad and I adore my mom.
Mhm.
So even through their mistakes, no one has a guide as a parent. But I just had to question that. So if you understand what that means, I did. I had to question that, and
Mhm.
so we're here now. We've gone
And
past that, so it doesn't
and
matter at this point.
and it can be damaging. It could be very damaging, and I'm glad you said that from a female standpoint, because people don't understand that, there's a deep cut that's in you as a female as well. A lot of times, they say that to the little boys, but when they say it to the little girls, that there's a cut that's there. And a lot of times people don't get to a place in their life, regardless of how long they live, where they can get over that, because that just sticks with them. Leonard, what do you, let me get to Leonard. Leonard, what do you say to that, brother? When somebody say that to the child, you just like your daddy.
I mean, it depends on, man. It's the context.
Mhm.
If something is true, it's just true. I know a
Mhm.
lot of people say negative things, and that's always bothered me, to know that people telling their kids stuff like that. That's just ignorance on their parents' part. But
Mhm.
it's also no problem to point out things that are obvious. You're supposed to look like where you come from.
Mhm.
That's how you
Yeah.
identify with it.
Yes, that's good. That's good. But my question is this, Leonard. In that scenario, and in the scenarios that we're talking about today, is it done in a positive way though? I mean, I'm sure it
It
can
really
be.
depends. If you mean to be negative, you're negative. You ain't nobody perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So in the context of this, that, or the other, regardless, you are your father's child.
Mm-hmm.
You are your mother's child. Definitely what you look like is made up of what they look like and what your family looks like. Your
Mm-hmm.
behavior is what you learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to point it out so you can catch it sometimes in advance. If you see a child lies a lot, how did the child learn to lie so much? Or why is the child doing this? Or why is the child doing that? If that is something about their mother or father, then you have an opportunity to change that if it's negative.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're trying to curse someone, that's different.
Mhm. And see, I understand what you're saying. I love the turn that you're taking with it. But my thing is, I don't think that is done when it's said like that, and when it's said like Anna say, it is not in a good time. Where they look at them and say, "Oh, you so beautiful. You look just like your daddy. You act just like your dad. You just like your dad." Um, if it was in a good moment where something was being done that was good, and that was said, then that would shine a positive light. But when you say something like that, Christy, and and the child has messed up or done something that the mother wasn't too pleased with, and then she says, "Oh, you just like your daddy." I don't see too much of positive in that. Christy,
You know, a little bit of my testimony. I have a twin sister, and me and my twin sister talk about this all the time.
mm-hmm.
Because words can be more hurtful, and the way we speak to our young girls can allow them to have such low self-esteem about themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and then they turn to these no good men, and then it brings abusiveness and stuff into their life because they've been beaten since they were children, but just beaten with words. You know, it's like if you drop a pan on the floor and you screaming at your child, "You're so ignorant. Why did you drop that?" You're speaking that into their jumping, they're screaming, you screaming at them for small things. And in our every family have a generational curse.
Mm-hmm.
And in our family, that generational curse is the way we speak to our kids. Because deep down, we want them to be more. We want them to be educated. We want them to be, and it's so when they make mistakes, instead of us as a family, like, okay, baby, it becomes this screaming type stuff. And I prayed, to break that generational curse. So I refuse to talk to my kids like that. I say, okay, children, look, y'all getting on my nerves. I'm about to go there in about 5 minutes. I need you to break away.
Mm-hmm.
But words really, really, really have power. And I want everyone to understand, if you are verbally abusing your children, because that's what it basically is. If you
Mm-hmm.
verbally abusing your children, it's gonna come back.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna come back, and it's gonna come back either on their lives, the lives of the people that they love. And when you verbally abuse young men, they become abusive physically, mentally, emotionally. So the way and it's not fair, but like I tell my kids, life's not fair, but it's final.
Mm-hmm.
So it's to the point that whatever you teach your child to be, that's what they're going to become. And not teaching them anything is teaching them something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you are speaking so ugly oh, you like your daddy. You're trying to teach them to hate their roots, to hate
Mm-hmm.
where they come from, to dislike the person that gave them, you know. And I always tell my kids, I don't talk about your daddy because I laid with him and made you.
Mm-hmm.
I had to love him or like him at some point to get to that point to have a child with him. So it's
Come on.
no sense in me downing him, and this is for males too. Ain't no sense of you downing that female, calling her out her name, talking bad about her because things didn't work out between y'all. We gonna have to come together as community, understand that hey, I ain't got you, I ain't gotta like what you did, but I don't have to turn my kids against their father, or I don't
Yeah.
have to turn my kids against their mother, because you're putting the kids in the middle of a grown-up situation, and all it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
do is grow up and become explosive.
That's right. That's right. That's good. Leonard, speak to me, brother. Talk to me. And the phone lines are open 678-381-1973. 678-381-1973. The phone lines are open 678-381-1973. We love to hear from you. Give us a call. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother?
I'm just listening from the point of view of a mother. Because one, it's not common for men to do that type of thing. So, sometimes I say things that will last. I say them on purpose. I don't care how you feel about it. But if it's the truth, it's the truth. And if it can be used to help you change a negative behavior I see in you,
Mm-hmm.
then it's a learning moment. You ain't gotta like it.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain approaches to rearing children that women have and that men have. And one, I would rather a person be able, I want my children to be able to critically think about things. And if you're
Mm-hmm.
saying and doing certain things that I don't care for, I'm gonna try to correct that. Now, to say, well, you just like your mother. Well, my son looks just like my mother. Why? I mean, look, my son looks just like his mom. He
Mm-hmm.
has more, he's very nonchalant about things like that. So I could say, he acts a lot like his mom. And his mom would tell the younger one, well, you act just like your father. Because that
Mm-hmm.
is what it is. Whether, I mean, this whole thing about good or bad, or I'm not going to say this or that or what have you, tell the truth. If
Mm-hmm.
that's what it is, that's what it is. If your daddy was a whore, that's what he was. Don't try to be like him. At least you know. It
Mm-hmm.
ain't no secret.
And,
So you,
and Rico said, and sorry to cut you off, Leonard, but Rico said this right here, and I like this here. He said, basically, we have to be mindful of positive and negative reinforcements, but also accept accountability.
yeah.
What do you say to that?
It's like my mother used to always say about me and my brother and my sister. Y'all get your book sense from your daddy side of the family.
Mm-hmm.
You get your common sense from my side of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that to mean a certain thing. The people on my father's side are people who believe in education and things like that. They believe they're a lot more religious and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother's side wide open,
Mm.
wide open. Why would we lie about it?
Yeah.
Then we would look like fools.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a huge family. We have a great time, but there's two difference, and I think that's the problem. Not speaking about something does not fix it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
or what have you. And like I like what Christy said. You can sit there and talk about the person all day, but pretty soon you need to talk about how y'all got mixed up together and made that other person.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you got to start talking about yourself too if you're gonna talk about the other person. A lot of people have negative things in their life, but that's not to say things are that determinate. Just because you say something about them don't mean that that's how they become.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Exactly.
whole bunch of behavior that's gonna go in front of that first.
Mm-hmm.
So one, I usually try to tell people, think about the behavior, not the person. I said,
Mm-hmm.
if I tell my son, that's quite trifling behavior. It's different than telling him, you ain't you just trifling. You ain't gonna never be nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
But how often is it, and I could be off base, y'all correct me, put me back on track if I'm off. But how often is it that a parent would say something like that? You're just like your dad in the time of in not such a good time, and want or expect a positive result. How often is it that they expect a positive result, Anna, when they say something like that?
Well, you can't. For many years, I was resentful. I really was. And again, there's a God up there, my father, and he's helped heal a lot of these pains and hurts and things that I just didn't understand what the attack was, why so much? And it was only when she would be angry. Like any other time,
Mhm.
I had
Thank
great
you.
qualities, but just certain things, where you remind me of your dad's sisters, and I'm like, well, what is it about them? They're beautiful women. I mean, and I'm not just saying that, they really are. My dad's mom, she was a beautiful woman, but the negativity that he did affected me, because then I wanted to make sure I was so much on the opposite end of not
Mhm.
doing what I saw at home, that I maybe put myself, and I don't blame anybody but myself. We have to be
Mhm.
responsible for our actions, okay? But I put myself in a situation where I was like, I want to make sure that I'm not doing this. So I tolerated certain things and maybe I wouldn't have under any other circumstance. Now, one thing I do agree with Christy on, and I've made sure with my children, I try to keep their self-esteem really up high. Oh, you're the best. Because I know what that feeling was like. So I always tend to be total, or have tried to be a total opposite parent. Oh, I can be strict with them, that I don't deny.
Mhm.
However, I want them to feel the best of the best, and that they're going to make it in this world, because nothing should set them back. I've told my children, through anything, and I agree with Christy. I No matter what, I chose to be with your dad. We were together
Mhm.
for a long time. He had his negativity, such as I had my negativity. It didn't work out because both of us didn't make it work out. I have
Mhm.
my fault, such as he has his fault. He's not so much like me. He'll blame everything on me, and that's cool. But I feel that with children, you need to communicate and be as truthful as possible when it comes to things like this, because they're going to figure it out anyway. They keep
Mhm.
growing, and you know what? They're going to be like, wait a minute, mom told me this, but it was really this. Because see, I was almost 40, 29, but I was close. We'll just say a few years back, when I
Mhm.
finally had the nerve to ask. I was fasting. And it was just like I felt like that nerve to go ahead. It's time and now, Anna, ask, get that
Mhm.
feeling. So when I did, the reaction, I don't think they expected that question. And so the reaction was kind of scrambling. And then, you start telling me everything positive. I know everything positive about daddy, because he's my daddy. He was my first love. He's my Prince Charming, is all dads are to their daughters, and anybody who has a daughter knows that feeling of, we love our dad. Okay, but I would hear it every time, and I mentioned that every time something negative came up. Oh, it
Mhm.
wasn't like that. You just overreacted, and sometimes we
The wrong way. Um,
Mhm. Good deal.
so
Okay, your volume went down on me.
I have got to go, you guys.
Okay. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Let's pray. We got to pray for our sister, man. We definitely got to pray for her, man, because yeah, we definitely got to do that. We got a caller on the line. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Rico from Anderson, Alabama.
Rico, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. Y'all doing okay?
Hey, doing good, doing good. Appreciate you calling in this morning, brother. We're talking about you're just like your daddy. Now, I know you've been listening to the conversation for a minute now. What's on your heart, brother?
Well, and I know in most cases you got to look at it as if it's going to be in a household where both parents are in the household, or if it's a single parent household where they don't split up.
Mm-hmm.
And in most cases, if they're split up, then that's probably going to be most likely that they're going to hear that in a negative context. So sometimes it's needed as a reality check,
mm-hmm.
because I've been observant amongst my friends or my relatives or whatever, even myself, when we have a half and half type of relationship with our fathers because it's not the best, maybe they weren't consistent. Sometimes you hear it on the outside, it's a good thing. Then sometimes you hear it as a negative thing. And sometimes it's true. Sometimes you hear it, you don't hear it after hear it, you already know it. because you see it yourself. And so, in some situations, I've seen like, well, one guy, I knew his dad wasn't in his life. He had 2 families, and he was a wino. But he took his good attributes too. Everybody in the streets always told him, "You're gonna be just like your daddy. You're gonna go and play pro sports and this and that." So he took that, and that was good. But the only thing he wanted to make sure that he wasn't gonna be like his daddy, where he was going. The only trait he made sure he didn't want to have from his daddy was the alcoholism. So he would say, "Man, I ain't gonna be like my dad. I ain't gonna be like my dad. I ain't gonna drink that wine." And to this day, he doesn't drink wine because that was his main flaw that he saw in his daddy.
Wow.
But the other things that he does just like his daddy, as far as not being there for his children, everything else he does is identical. And he doesn't realize it. So sometimes
hold on. You say
Rico,
you say not being there for his children?
Yeah, not being there for his children. He took that after his daddy too, but he doesn't realize it. So that's why I say sometimes it is good to hear that in a negative way, so you can get a reality check to realize that, okay, the same thing that I didn't like about my daddy, I'm doing it. Like my father, he could get long-winded, take over a conversation and make it about him. Sometimes I catch myself doing the same thing, and I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
The same thing that aggravate me about him, I do. So, sometimes you do need to hear that to get that reality check, because there's some flaws that we have to hold ourselves accountable, just like with our parents, those flaws.
Exactly. And see, a lot of times, and I'm glad you said there's a lot of pros and cons involved in this, Christy. And what do you say to that? Because a lot of times, I know I have 4 daughters, and certain things my mom used to say when I was growing up, he said, "Man, eat me up." And one thing in particular I could say, and Mom, I apologize, baby. I know you're probably listening this morning, but one thing she used to say to me is, she'd tell me do something, and then less than 2 minutes, she said, "Did you hear me?" I was like, man, I don't know why, but that's it. Did you hear me? They used to kind of get next to me, because yes, I heard you. I heard you. I'm right here by you.
You didn't respond fast enough. I do the same thing.
But see, I used to hate that. I really did used to hate that. But I found call a mutual line for me. Caller that just called in, mutual line for me. But I found myself. Call a mutual line caller.
I don't know why, but that's it. Did you hear me?
Okay, I'm at to just go out there caller, because they're getting their feedback. Okay. Go ahead, Crystal. Okay.
I'm gonna say this. One thing about what Rico said, and it's it makes sense, because the abuser can become the abusee because it's taught. So you can have in your mind frame of what you're not going to do, just like the person that's being physically abused. At that point in their life that they're being abused, they don't see themselves abusing anyone. They just internalizing the hurt and the pain. But once they get set free from the abuser, they become an abusee and hate themselves for turning into something that they hated or said that they wouldn't do. That's just, that's just the way that goes. And then another point I wanted to make, when you can't turn chicken into beef. I don't care how hard you try. If you put on the stove some chicken spaghetti, it's not going to turn into no beef spaghetti. So, I mean, it is whatever you put in is what you're going to get out.
Yes.
So you can't put in negativity and expect positivity to come back. It's a way to say anything, and it's a way to drive home a point. And in that, is like, you just like your daddy is not the point that I would make to your friend. I would just simply ask, like, well, how did you feel growing up? How did you feel when your daddy wasn't there? How do you think your children feel? And that's not saying you just like your daddy. That's just putting in the same
voicemail
sentence as that. So it's a way to tell people about themselves in a positive manner and get a positive end result, instead of being negative. oh, you're a
That's
whiner
correct.
like your daddy, or you're ignorant like your daddy, or you look like your mama, but you act like your stinking daddy. You know, those type of words can sting and hurt.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Leonard, what's on your heart, man? Because we putting a lot and we uncovering a lot, man. And Leonard, there's a lot of people that's walking around still to this day with the hurt of hearing that. So you know, and I understand y'all say, you know, be real with it, blah blah blah. I understand that, but at the same time, how do you curve the scars? How do you curve them having to walk around with the hurt of hearing that, especially from their mother? What do you do?
Well, there's a whole bunch of value judgments in between here and there. And
Mm-hmm.
so, one, I'm not one of those types of people that pass the buck or pass the blame. Everybody's responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can be a lot like your mama or your daddy, but you still had a choice to be who you wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you choose to emulate those same negative behaviors or what have you, or for some reason you are drawn to negative things, that's the type of person that you are. That's just all it is to it. If you do not want to do better, you won't. You can come from the worst people in the world and be the best person this world ever saw.
But Leonard, are we also talk at the same time? Are we talking about children that's at a moldable? They're at a very moldable age and a very fragile time in their life. They don't, you know, it's kind of hard to say. You know, you have to decide which way, because a lot of times these children don't know.
Well, this is where parenting has failed.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
I mean, if you're not the best parent in the world, you got to work on those skills.
Mm-hmm.
Just because your mother was something don't mean you have to be that.
Mm-hmm.
And see, I think a lot of it has to do with, one, there are some people that would prefer to do less in life. You understand?
Yeah.
They don't want. There are some people that believe you're supposed to stay in the projects forever. That's their mentality. That's what they do. That's how they behave. It's your behavior that usually determines where you're going to be and the choices that you make. What you have to do is to teach people that despite where you come from or what may be going on, you can always do better. I always operate from that concept. You can't sit here. Now, I've heard folks talk about the phenomenon of that negative, the reinforcing of negative things.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yes, if you do that with a young child who does not have the ability to think on their own or to think critically, then yes, they're going to exhibit some behaviors. But like, first of all, you're going to ask questions first.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why they keep saying that?
Yeah.
Then you're going to have to explain why you're saying, you know, and that's a great time, a great teaching moment to teach that concept of being better than where you came from, if that's an issue. And the notion that everybody is sitting around there doing this to them children, first of all, is something we need to get out of our heads. Because this is not something that everybody is doing just because you see a lot of negative people with issues. That's not always the issue. There are some people who have certain mindsets and who have certain issues that will use that to justify certain behavior. And it's very detrimental to our community. And we see, you know, the way we talk in terms of so detrimental that, one, you can't change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go to jail if you don't want to. You don't have to break the law if you don't want to. Just because your daddy been in prison ever since you was born, don't mean you got to be in there.
Mm-hmm.
How you like your daddy if you ain't never knew your dad?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
You can't control that.
Absolutely. Rico, what do you say to that? What's on your heart, brother?
Well, you know, really, like I agree with a lot of what Leonard say most of the time, and really what I'm saying is it depends on if that child has lost hope or not. That parent can actually use that, like, you know, like Christy said a second ago too. It depends on how it's delivered. If you deliver it the right way, you could get that child to critically think about where you're coming from, because like I said, they might have these same complaints about their father. But it all depends on who the dominant person is that's consistently feeding that negative or positive behavior into that child. They're gonna receive that. They go, and you know, it's real complex because it could go very deep. You know, when you start talking about abuse, and people that's supposed to be your support system, and like I said, being on the outside looking in, you got so many people that's looking at the image on the outside looking in. Like I said, you got that will tell you, yeah, you're gonna be just like your daddy. Your daddy had all the women, and your daddy had all the money. And if they glorifying your daddy for the wrong reasons, but you might have a grudge against your daddy because your daddy got 20 kids by 15 different women.
Yeah, yeah.
You might not really like this lifestyle. The rest of your brothers and sisters might like that lifestyle. So now that's where the mother come in. The mother's very important for her to reinforce in that son whether or not that was good behavior, and then to also let him know why she even felt susceptible to that negative behavior. Because I see that in the black community a lot, where the dope boys and the football players or the athletes have all these different baby mamas, and it's like they didn't do right by the baby mamas or the children, but the community still praised them. Some of those children,
hold on for a second, Rico.
Really don't appreciate it.
Okay. I think the caller muted their line. We're getting some feedback from the caller's line. I want to make sure that we clear that so we can have the best. Yeah, absolutely, Rico. You're absolutely on point with that, man. But there's so many different layers. There's a lot of different layers on here, man. And it goes right back to what y'all said earlier. I think you and Leonard, and I think Chris said it as well. The parenting. We have to understand what we're doing, and we have to be mindful because we are the parents. And we have to be very mindful as to what we're putting out there and how, what we say today could scar these children for years to come. Like this scenario that you just talked about, he could have all these kids out there. Well, there could be one kid, one of his children may not want to live that lifestyle, may not want to be that guy that have all them kids. They want to have a smaller family, be responsible, take care of the family. You said something about the professional athlete that didn't want to drink and because he saw his dad as an alcoholic and he never drank. But at the same time, some of the other characteristics about not taking care of the kids and being there for the kids, he took on those characteristics. And so we got a huge responsibility as parents. And unfortunately, people have been saying it for years, man. There is no handbook. There's no handbook to being a parent. But I'm, in living, I kind of changed that a little bit because I think that BIBLE is a pretty good handbook, but not everybody's there. We got a couple of callers. I think Felicia's there. Felicia, good morning. How you doing? Unmute your phone for me. See, I couldn't get Felicia to mute it, and now I can't get her to unmute it. Frank, I think we have Frank as well. Frank, are you there?
I'm here, brother. How you doing?
Good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Man, fantastic.
Good deal. Good deal. What we're talking about today, we're talking about when a parent says,
how you all doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Mute your phone back again. Okay, mute your phone again. I'm gonna come right.
Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but mute your phone right now. I'm gonna come right back to you. I'm talking to another caller right now, so mute your phone. I'll come back to you after this caller. Okay, so mute your phone for me for just a second. Frank, and what we're doing, we're talking about a parent, typically a mother, is what we're talking about in right now. Looking at her son or her daughter and saying, "You just like your daddy," when a child is not doing nothing good. What do you say to that? Felicia, mute your line for me, Felicia. We got some feedback from your line. Mute your line for me. Go ahead, Frank.
Well, I think that I pray that person has somebody around them to correct them, because no matter how you feel about, the mom or the dad, if you're the father, no matter how you feel about the mother, if you're the mother, no matter how you feel about the father, you need to allow that child to have a relationship with that other parent. And even if that other parent has some flaws, that child still loves his dad. Or he still loves his mom. And at the end of the day, no parent is perfect. None of us are perfect. We all have our flaws. And that's why, the intent was for a child to have a mother and a father, because my wife has strength that balances out my relationship with my kid. Because there's certain things that I'm just not tolerant of. And it was the same thing with my mom and my dad. By the time my dad got involved, I was in serious trouble. But my mom would always come to me and say, well, you sweetie, you know you were wrong. You can't do that again. You know, and she would, you know, ease the pain of my father correcting me. But I needed that correction
that balance
from my dad in order for me to become a man. But I also needed the embrace of my mother in order for me to be able to endure that training. But when you have a parent that is off, that is telling them that the thing that is so essential to their life is this or is that, or it isn't this or it's not that, you know, that makes it difficult for the child.
Absolutely. Extremely. Felicia, good morning. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing fine.
Good
deal.
deal.
You know y'all behind. I'm looking at it at my laptop, and then I'm calling you on my phone. So that's why we all mixed up.
It's okay.
But anyway, guys, y'all, this is perfect. This was really, really good. Look, I got 3 baby daddies. Okay? And I'm not ashamed. I believe in that. Tell the truth, shame the devil. You ain't shaming me. Ain't nobody out there gonna shame me, and you ain't gonna come from me. I promise you. But the point I want to make, I've always told my kids, no matter what I went through with their dads, that's your daddy. Okay, and that's how we gonna roll. So every morning I get up, and I'd be like, you call your daddy today? You talk to that butt today? You know, it's like they know that, okay, them two don't like each other, but why she asking, did I call him today? Because that's your daddy. You understand what I'm saying? And, oh, my heart is beating so fast right now. Y'all, I'm going to get better at this. But when the Holy Ghost gets to speaking to me, my heart beats so fast, and then my words beat so fast, then my mind beats so fast, and I want to slow it down. But I feel like this world just goes so fast, and I'd be like wanting to tell y'all, like, just be a mama and daddy. You know what I'm saying? And if you're telling the truth, God gonna take care of the rest. We live in a sinful world. When you're sitting and you're trying to hide that sin, and you're trying to hide when you're out there, you know what I'm saying? Or you're trying to hide something, then kids gonna find out about it, and then it's gonna confuse them, and then it's gonna be like, well, damn, they hiding it, so it must be something wrong. You know, I have traits, I have things that I got to work with. My beautiful, strong men that I had my kids by, they got things that they got to work with. But let me tell you something. My husband, out of those 3 men, we got some things that keep our marriage. It will never be a marriage. But we are co-parents all day long. You understand what I'm saying? We love each other in that sense of being co-parents.
That's good. That's good.
Okay?
Good. Hold on one second.
I can be his wife, and he
Hold on,
can be
Felicia.
my husband, but we some damn good parents.
Okay, hold
guys,
on.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Felicia. Hold on for 1 second. Okay, hold on for 1 second. Christy, what's on your heart right now? Unmute your line for me. What's on your heart?
It's the truth. You know, we have blended families now. You know, there, you know, and to Rico, I wanted to say, you know, I mean, it wasn't Rico, it was Frank. I'm sorry. When he was stating about how his dad corrected him, and then his mom came in and was that person to console him, I'm gonna say. But you know, you got to think about it. What about these 1-parent homes where there isn't a dad, or 1-parent home where there isn't a mom? You know, not everyone have that 2-parent household. That's the dream, but in America and in reality, we have some single parents out here that's doing both jobs. That's got to correct and do the consoling. And if it's a good single mom or a good single dad, they're going to have to master the two in order to do that. But you know, it's to say that that's where all the little, you know, if you have a single mom doing it all by herself with 4 or 5 children, you know, it's gonna be some things said that's not gonna be so pretty, and it's gonna be some things said that is gonna be pretty. It's just a plight of a single woman that's working 2 and 3 jobs to keep food on the table, or working to keep the lights on, working to make sure that there's daycare and doing it by herself because the father haven't stood up to do anything. So that frustration that she feels on the inside, it comes out because she can't get it out at work. She's not gonna get it out, you know what I'm saying, to the father because he doesn't call.
Everybody mute your line for me. Everybody mute your line for me. We got some background noise coming. Want to make sure we can hear everything that Christy's saying. Mute your line for me. Christy, go ahead. Sorry about that.
So when it comes out very negative, and it comes out on that child. I'm not condoning, I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying as a single mama, I understand that sometimes things just get so overwhelming and you have things on top of things. Just think about a single mom doing COVID-19 where she got to work. She's an essential employee, but there's nowhere to send her child for daycare because they're all closed. Think about a single mom that's doing it all by herself with nothing, no help, that makes too much money for food stamps, that can't get her kids on Medicaid, but she got to constantly work. These are some real life issues. What about those people that's in that bracket where they got to pay them high taxes, high light bill, make sure their children in private school paying this? So I'm saying it's a bigger picture than just being negative. Sometimes you have a lot and it takes a strong person to get past that negativity to give her children the positivity that they need. And then sometimes the children can see what the mom is going through and they take on their responsibility and they have their own self-hate or their own hate for their fathers. That's what I like about the caller, where she said that she tell her kids, hey, call your daddy.
Yeah.
Because I tell my children the same thing. Hey, call your daddy. And I don't, like I say, I don't speak negative about their fathers at all. I mean, I could, but I don't. Because I don't want them to feel wrong for loving their father or trying to choose a side. You know, because I got my issues. You know, I'm a stern mom, but I'm fair. And I love my kids. So in a single household, we have to understand that, you know, hey, we got to be careful of the words that we speak because those words have power. And we have to speak love, peace, joy, and happiness on our children so they can have the life that we want them to have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me. There's a lot going on right now.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of listening because this is the main reason why I think I am in where I'm at today about these issues is because of seeing all the things that are going on around me. I never wanted to be a part of it. There's nothing about me that ever wanted to have a children by several different women.
Yeah.
I just can't. I couldn't be running around just doing that because my mother used to always tell me, you know, this will ruin your life. 5 minutes will ruin your life. Your whole life. Just because you allow your private parts to lead you around like a wild dog. That's how my mother talked to you.
That's true.
She talked to you about if you want to respect, how'd you go about getting it? How you let people know you ain't even serious about yourself. See, so we need to reinforce those things. And like Christy just said, we have an issue in our society, in our community, that is rampant. And it is called single households. This came in and destroyed a lot of parenting structure. And I love the caller that said how they get it done. They the best, even if they don't like each other. They have figured out how to be the best parents they can be to those children. Because that is what's most important. And I don't cut nobody no slack about it. You know what you did because the evidence is here. We don't need to go back and forth about that. What we need to do is support one another and try to help us through it. We all know we need that type of help. I ain't got but 2 kids and I've been married. But you know what? That's still a handful. I always tell my wife, I couldn't imagine doing this by myself.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
My father died at a young age. And we were young. But that never gave me an excuse to be less than I could be. Absolutely. And so all these things we make up to cover up our indiscretions and our sin, we need to put to rest. And just be the best people that we can possibly be starting today. I learned this from my brother's experience and him raising his children. and being a father at 15, 16 years old.
Wow.
And juggling this, that, and the other, not just what was going on around you, but all the mistakes you was making, compounded on the mistakes that the females was making, and everybody just in a bunch of chaos. And then you have to, so as a man, even as a man, you speaking out to all my brothers, if you've made these mistakes, go learn to be a man and put your foot down and fix your situation.
Exactly.
Stop waiting on a woman to come in and tell you what you need to do. See, because a lot of folks don't start, you know, it takes a woman that want to really to marry a lot of these guys. And then you find out it's the woman that's pushing them to be the man that they should have always been. Because and black women, you have to do that. Don't let him come into your life. He all messed up. You all jacked up. And for some reason, y'all got together with both y'all brains and thought y'all would get pregnant.
Let's do this right here. Good deal and a good deal. Let's go to Rico. Rico, what's on your heart, brother?
You know, I still agree with everybody. And, you know, I'm going to tell you something that I noticed is that with most of this is really addressing single parent households, and it's mainly comments like going back to the original comment, you being just like your daddy.
Yeah.
You would most likely hear that in the black community. You probably wouldn't hear that in the white community too much. Oh, before I go too far, I know what's wrong with Felicia. Felicia got to turn her laptop down.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's all the problem with it. But okay, you know, with that, I realized that sometimes we have to sit back and realize that if we don't know any better, we can't do any better. So you got a lot of parents in these households that's dysfunctional. They scar, abuse, and they come from a generation of other single parent households trying to figure it out. And one thing I noticed when I was young is I could go up and down the street and I noticed that all of the older people were married. People would be 82 and 86. They died married. They died widows or you know what I'm saying, widowers or whatever. But these people stayed together their whole lives, had their children. They had that balance that Christy was talking about. So now you get past those times, because I was born in 72 and that was the norm. But by the time the 80s hit, it was becoming more normal to see most of my friends didn't have two parents in the household, much less two grandparents in the same household. So with that being said, you start thinking, well, why are marriages not surviving? Number one, we got to accept in the black community that we got a lot of mental health problems and dysfunction going on, and we're not holding ourselves accountable. So now you got some people find their way through the Bible. The Bible is an awesome way to find your way.
Yes, sir.
You don't lost your path.
Come on.
Some people find their path through finance, and they dive head first into being successful people, business, being a celebrity or whatever. But if you aren't mentally healthy, you will still just be a nutty Bible person or a nutty rich person. And you'll still be getting married, doing dysfunctional stuff that you think you corrected because you're still not holding yourself accountable for the other things you don't know about, or the other things that you didn't do. So it all goes back to really, we have to go back and address the fact that we have a lot of mental health and dysfunctional issues in our community. The reason why a single parent household even exists is because somewhere those parents are dysfunctional, or they had the wrong values, they got together for the wrong reason, and one of those two parents gonna have to reinforce whatever they learn into those children.
Exactly. Yeah,
the
that's
same
good.
people that couldn't make that marriage work.
Is the same.
The same people that got those children and didn't get married, and when they had more children and didn't get married, still got to reinforce values into those children. And they still might not be understanding that they are not mentally healthy. Yeah, we go to church every Sunday and Tuesday and every other day that the door open up. But I can't keep my legs closed because I still need a man in my life. Why I still need a man in my life? Why I still need a woman in my life? Why did I feel like if I ain't got a woman that I ain't a full-blooded man? So now I've been married 5 times. Why is it that I can't find the right woman? So, but you still having children and reinforcing into them what they supposed to do to be successful and be adults and have relationships. So we got to address in the Black community that we suffering from PTSD and all kind of other mental health issues before we start having children.
That's good.
Because we got to get the balance back with having two households.
Exactly.
Two parents in the household.
Good.
Fix that. Find out why we don't have that, and then everything else will start coming back into place.
Good deal. Good deal. Let me keep this thing going, Frank. What's on your heart right now? Then we'll go to Kurt. Good and good morning, Kurt. How you doing, sir? Kurt, can't hear you.
Hey,
yeah, morning, bro. Morning, Frank. Morning, Christy. Morning, L Dog.
Good morning, bro. How are you?
Good deal. Frank, what's on your heart, brother?
I'm gonna be brief because it's been so many things that have been touched, and man, it's so challenging when you have a topic like this that you have to be careful because people are living life and they're dealing with their reality. And if you say the wrong thing, you will say something that you don't have time to really elaborate on. And the first thing that normally happens is that you offend somebody, or you're not able to roll this thing completely out where it can be understood. But I do want to say this is that I want to offer Frank's opinion on Christianity, because a lot of times people will begin to talk about the church or spiritual people, and they see them as religious. When you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, there's a quickening that takes place in you, and it's the beginning of a journey. All of your issues are not dealt with immediately. It's just the beginning. But the Spirit of God is made alive in you. But I want you to understand, I want to say this, is that everything that we need is in His presence. Everything we need for our mental health, everything that we need for our finances, everything that we need for our families, for community, everything. I am an African American man, but my blackness comes out of my experience with God. I'm a husband, but before I'm a husband, I'm a Christian. And the way that I am to treat my wife, it comes out of that relationship with God. Because if it comes from anywhere else, I'll mess it up. I've done it. But I was going to use the word challenge you, but I want to offer this to you. Try Him and understand that you will encounter God in so many different ways. There's a really good book out called that I've had for many years. It's called The Names of God, and it talks about who God is and how you encounter Him. It talks about Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Nisi, and Jehovah Rapha. And it really breaks down and explains to you who God really is. And it makes clear that there's nothing that you can go to God about that in time. And as you walk that thing out and with the proper help and with listening, won't be dealt with.
Good deal. Good deal. Good morning, Kurt, man. I need to ask you a question. I'm glad you're with us this morning. Our topic is this. You just like your dad. Now, from the counseling standpoint, how many children have you come across that has heard the mother say, you just like your dad, or heard the daughter say, you just, or heard the mother say to the daughter, you just like your dad, and that left a very deep wound and scar in these children? Kurt, how often have you dealt with that?
A lot. Sometimes you even hear it in family sessions. Like it get to that point where, that comes out. And it's especially hurtful when if you've been in front of that child and you constantly been speaking negatively about that father. you know what I'm saying, if all the child hears is bad things about their father, and then you soon as the first thing you say is, "Oh, you just like your father," or you daddy, you know, um, or if we've heard cases, your daddy ain't nothing but a piece of, and then you turn around and tell him you just like your daddy. After a while, the kids start thinking, well, are you calling me a piece of?
Yeah.
Are you saying I'm no good? So with children, especially teens, children are very, very persuasive, period. So if you constantly say something to them, they begin to believe that's the end all to be all. That's it. That is what it is. So, folks have to be careful. You know what I mean? Like, I was lucky, man. My ex has never said, to my knowledge, anything dehumanizing or bad about me as a father and me as a human being. And my kids grew up, well, I got one that's grown and one that's growing up, but they live their lives like, what, my daddy is a good man, you know what I mean? And I can tell you that it makes a great deal of difference. It does.
Exactly. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me. Hold on for a second. I think Leonard's muted there. Hold on. There you go. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm so much on the reparative end of relationships. And whatever it is, brother, brothers have to repair these relationships. I mean, it may be that you not repair them. It's not between you and the female or what have you. You have to be there for the child. You have to be a lot more mature. And then a lot of people get offended by this, that, you ain't right. You can sit up here with your chest stuck out and you ain't right.
Exactly.
Now, do you want to help your family or not? We have to take that approach. With all the mistakes that we've made, I've watched men, back in the day, the old brothers, they made a lot of mistakes. But the only thing that was so different, they walk around with their chest stuck out. They took care of their business and they did what they were supposed to do. It was what it was. And then it may have taken till 50, 60 years for that child to understand. But we're on the heels of a generation that came out of a serious situation.
Yes, sir.
And so we should be a lot more protective of our families and our offspring than we are. And like I just read a horrible story about a young lady who was murdered, and she was very young, and I think she had a child that was around 2 or 3 and one that was 7 months. And these other guys robbed her and killed her. But she had a baby 7 months ago. Where was he at? Where was that joker at?
Yep.
That just had a baby with this woman 7 months ago. Where was he at?
Baby, not even a year.
That's the thing about it. And that's, for the women that are listening. Govern yourselves accordingly. All that ignorance ain't cute. You join in with jokers that have no intention on doing you any good whatsoever. And then you sit and you think it's okay. It's not.
No.
If he's a criminal, if he's not treating people right, if he's disrespectful, his mouth is not in order, and all these types of things, don't lay with him.
Come on.
No, not don't have no baby, not no give. Don't lay with him. So simple. Stay simple. Don't make it complicated. Stay simple. Don't sleep with him.
Yep.
Because you're going to
Right.
produce him
Yes, sir.
and you. And both of y'all crazy. I mean, we can't. Come on, man. Y'all know how, I know Kurt tell the truth, man. Kurt is in the rehabilitation process to get people on the right track. So he got to sit there, like he said, he listening to it. He listening to people provide the evidence on how they got where they at.
Exactly.
And he has to go back and break all that down and try to strengthen it and make it healthier because it was so messed up before. And we have to stop thinking, that for some reason everything is going to be okay. Older people used to tell me all the time, 9 months to tell it all. You can sit up here and say what you want and act like you so this, you so that, even you, preacher. 9 months to tell it all. That bad thing has a way of coming back and haunting you. Not maybe now, but maybe the generation after, the next generation, the next generation.
Good deal. Donald Tucson, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I don't really want to get in this conversation. I promise you that.
Come on, man. Look here. They look and they say, you just like your daddy. Is that a good thing? Is that a good thing?
I say doggone stupid. Sure is. Because that foolishness, I don't have time for. Or you put your mouth, I don't have time for that. Just like it.
Just like
it. Cut you off right where you come at. You get off right where you think you know everything. It cuts you off right there. Don't have to say a bunch, because a lot of people have a lot of words.
Yeah.
I don't have many words. It's not how much you say, it's what you say. And so when some people, and sometimes we try to be the opposite of our parents. So that breaks that mold. Some people say, well, it's a generational curse. Well, some people break it. There's no such thing, really. I mean, I don't believe it. Because we can't say that old proverb no more. But some scriptures say all souls are mine. The soul that sinneth to die. And if a man come, in a sense to say, you can break that cycle. So we don't have the pattern on people's lives. So I don't, I'm going to go back to saying what I said before. Some conversations I don't get into.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Let me go to Felicia. Felicia, what's on your heart right now? Rico, coming to you next.
Okay, am I on now?
Yes.
Okay. Look, I look at it like this. Everybody has their own journey. Life is life. God gave us life. He's the one that lets us know whether or not we're going to be birthed, born, or anything. And, I listen to Mr. Kurt, and I so agree with you. And sometimes I get a little upset with you because I got to remember that I hope that you're speaking of this generation now. But from my generation, when I speak of 3 baby daddies, I speak of it with honor. And I say that because of the situation and what we're talking about right now. My first was my high school sweetheart. But yes, I was a child that grew up in a home. I wouldn't say I didn't have a dad. I just didn't have my dad. Okay. So I had men around me. My uncle was a very, very good in society. I had all of that around me. But what I think my heart and my mind was grieving for was my dad. And so my second child came from someone that was older than me. He knew my family. He knew me. So I felt that safeness. Was it wrong? Hell yes. I had no business with him. But, and my third baby daddy is my husband. So what I'm trying to say is that you can be smart, but that thing about you're like your dad. You have that smartness. You have that street sense, but you're like me. You got that book sense. What's wrong with that? Why do we have to look at it like you lay down and this and that. You don't know what's going on in those girls' heads, okay? There's a reason we got strip joints out here because we didn't have daddies out here, okay? We didn't have daddies out here teaching me who I am. Okay, so I need everybody to always think about that. Be mindful of that, and be mindful that everybody's gonna have their own journey. It's okay. Can we just be all together and support each other? You might not walk the same damn road I walk,
Felicia,
but why can't we support each other?
Felicia,
And I'm sorry. I'm gonna be quiet now.
No. You're fine. I love your honesty and your openness and your transparency. But I want you to also understand that it's a gospel station. We can't certain words we can't use now.
Right. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. I apologize, guys. That's why I don't.
No. You're fine, Felicia. No, we want you to call in. No, we want you to call in, Felicia. We want you to call in. We want you to call in. We understand. We want you to call in.
That's what I have to work with. And I'm telling everybody right now.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate. Everything that's going on right now, I have said. I said, everybody. We are in war. We're in war. And everybody needs to sit down, get with your family, because it's a privilege to breathe his air. So let's get together with our families and let's learn to forgive each other. And let's learn that we all have our own journey. I'm in a house with a man that was not my father. But he is my father. He is the one that made me. So I'm going to look past the negativity and I'm going to bring some light back in this house. And I'm going to bring some light into this relationship. But is it easy? Heck no. It's not easy. But we got to keep on pushing. I'm going to keep on pushing. I'm going to push to the day I die. And I'm going to see all of my brothers and sisters because that's what it is, honey. My daddy had one with one woman, 3 with another woman. It doesn't matter. I don't care. That's him. That's what he got to work with. All I know is I got sisters and brothers, and we think alike, and we might walk alike, and we might be on the same daggum highway, but we in 2 different lanes. That's what we need to talk about. Let's stop thinking that, I sit over here and I think this way, and I love them shades. I need to take them shades off because I'm being transparent. So I'm gonna need you to be transparent.
She don't went her conversation. Don't went to. She was being so serious, and now she's talking about your shades, brother.
I love listening to him. I love listening to y'all. Y'all make me want to get on this phone, but I just feel like that's the problem that we got going on. Is that we want to sit behind, but let's don't sit behind. Just like when that man got killed, you saw how the Panthers went up in there and said, we have had enough. And y'all, we better pay attention to this generation because we sit and talk about what they do and how bad they are. You better pay attention because they don't care. They don't care. So you better put something else, put some positive behind that anger.
Exactly. Hold right there, Felicia. Hold right there, Felicia. Hold on right there. We got to pull some more people into the car. I said I was gonna go to Rico next. Rico, give me 1 second, man.
Sorry.
Huh?
I'm gonna go.
Okay, Kirk, what's on your heart, brother? You know, from the counselor's part and the counsel that's in you, Kirk. What's on your heart right now? What are you hearing, brother?
Well, actually, her name is Felicia.
Yes.
Felicia, sweetheart. First, I can't tell you that I know how you feel, because that would be the inappropriate thing to say. But what I can tell you is I can understand your feelings. I think Felicia just touched on an even graver situation and circumstance. And that situation and circumstance, excuse me, forgive me, is history. A lot of us tend to say, well, just make the changes and blah, blah, blah. It don't work like that. Some things I'm just gonna keep it real. The genetic code of the African American man and the African American family has been altered. That's just what it is. And you find situations such as hers, and there is a certain level of pain there, because even in their situations, in her situation, in society, she's thrown off as a no-gooder, or we done gave people in her situation plenty of names to address who they are, or to speak on who they are without addressing what the root cause is. We find ourselves a lot of times not even understanding the cultural setup. You know, I remember once I did a documentary, and I never forget it, man. They asked me just to be raw. And I came out and I said, you know, coming from that generation, you got to understand the time. You got to understand the situation. You know, a man couldn't feed his family, so the mama had to go and get TANF and FCD and stuff like that. The man couldn't live in his house. You know, men were not being paid. Black men specifically were not even being paid under the table livable wage, underwage. We were barely being paid at all. So you had women who had to, although they had a man, they still realistically had to fend for themselves. And the man couldn't live in the house. I remember, because I remember being one of those children where my daddy literally had to hide in the closet because the quote unquote social worker, social service rep came to the house to call themselves inspecting the house. But they was coming to make sure that my mama didn't have a man living there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So there's several issues, and it's not an excuse. It's just the situation for which folks have been placed in, that for whatever reason, the system, the way it was set up, was not allowing for us to address those issues as black men, men who have wanted to stand up, but miraculously, all of a sudden they got a murder charge, or they got a bank robbery charge, and they wasn't even there. But when they went before a court system, you had people who eyewitnessed them, and this dude was at home laying in bed. So you got situations like that. But Raheem, you know, I just gotta say this. I don't want to get off topic, but I gotta say this, right? And I say this to America, to the black people specifically, to Black America specifically, and we reach 58 other countries. So this mess gonna have to stop, and it might take for residents of other countries to start to speak out. It's starting again, right? With the Arbery thing, you know it's starting again, right?
Oh yeah.
All of a sudden now, you saw those videos?
They're trying to turn him into a thug. They're trying to turn him into some kind of thug.
Turn him into a thug. It's starting again, y'all. And then they run this devil running the same playbook. And I'm not calling white people devils, so don't nobody misinterpret what I'm saying. But what's going on is devilish. And he running the same playbook that he done ran with every single black murder. With every single black murder that's done happened, you know, ran the same playbook.
Absolutely.
Lady was talking last night.
We actually gonna do I was planning on doing a show at some point Friday where we actually talk about and address this, what's going on, and keep making people aware as to what is being done right now and how they're doing it. You know, it's nothing new. You know, they've been doing the same thing for years. Just like you said, Kirk, they're running the same playbook. Now they only it's the second down and they on the 2-yard line and they only have a couple of plays they could play, and they're trying to score the best way they can. But we're gonna put the defense up this time. We're not gonna let it happen. And so I want to have a show Friday, and I'm open up whoever want to come on. You can definitely come on and be a part of it. But that's what we're gonna do at some point Friday. I don't know the time yet. Don't have the time yet, but we're definitely gonna do it Friday.
That ties into that ties in the old girl situation, because one of her fathers, right, could have been that boy. That's what's happening. When you sit down and you do the family sessions, you'll find that a young lady might have 3 kids, right? She may have different baby daddies. Or she may have 3 different baby daddies. Let's say she's 42. She have 3 different baby daddies. In this city right here, one of them is murdered by black, white, candy stripe, don't matter. The other one might be locked up. He fighting charges that there's a good chance he ain't guilty of. The city just body for a body. And the third one is somebody she just met maybe 5-6 years ago. And so it you know what I mean? Like,
hey, Kurt, we gotta keep it rolling, man. Got a couple of callers on the line.
Go ahead, man. I'm sorry. I ain't mean to take so much time.
Good deal. But we do have a couple of callers on the line. As a matter of fact, right now I think we have Bishop. Bishop, are you there?
Yes, sir. Good morning, our brothers.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everyone.
Hey, good morning. How you doing? We're talking about, Bishop, we're talking about this morning. I know you've been listening because you usually listen in a little bit before you call. We're talking about you're just like your daddy. You're just like your daddy. Now, if a young lady say that to her son and or her daughter, is that a good thing? Because a lot of times, Bishop, she's saying it out of anger. Go ahead.
Well, it really depends on the nature of the conversation. If it's given in a derogatory or negative aspect, trying to associate her child to her father, and because he's the deadbeat dad, the song would say, then that's a negative because that's what she's feeding into his psyche. If me, like my father and my mom said, well, you just like your dad. My dad was a workaholic, so I worked 3 jobs. And my dad had worked the 3 jobs so that he could take care of all of his children, take care of you. And then, so that to me, that wasn't a positive, but when it depends on the nature of the conversation. Why would a mom say something like that? And so, yeah, sometimes they do say stuff like that out of anger and be honest, because it's ignorant. And women are emotional. They are very emotional creatures. So it depends on, like I said, again, the nature of the statement.
Exactly. Rico, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me. Leonard, come to you next.
I'm gonna tell you, I really agree wholeheartedly with Curtis and Leonard say. I mean, they both really are floating around in the same boat that I'm in. They just wording it a lot better. But what I'm realizing is that we with that topic that you're talking about, that statement that's being made, you know, sometimes we subconsciously, you know, put out that negative behavior without realizing it. And I've been reading that book, PTSS, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. I needed that book because throughout my life, I've been observing different situations like Felicia's. My situation ain't the best. I've been on my own since 11 years old, and I portrayed some habits and behaviors that didn't come from my mother or my father. They came from my stepfather, who was very dysfunctional and came from an abusive household. You know, so I got some of his bad values. And I sit back and I observe the community, I observe society. Like I said, I noticed back in the day when the older people stayed married till they died, and then I started noticing how my friends all had step parents and different brothers and sisters, and I just noticed, you know, how society, the family just started falling apart. I observed this and I asked myself why. And I think if we all ask ourselves why without getting emotional sometimes if people even refer to what we're doing, like I've had people call me out or refer to different things that I did, and it struck a nerve with me. I couldn't get emotional because I've already examined where it came from, you know, and that came from studying psychology and asking the question, why is this going on? You know, why is it that this woman saying this about this man that she laid down and have a child with? Did she not really love him? And the same thing if I was saying this about the baby mama, because I'm that guy. You know, I'm going through it with 2 baby mamas. I didn't want to have 2 baby mamas, but society, you know, flipped some things around and my values changed. It was something made me change my values. So sometimes I catch myself being that same father that's telling my son, you didn't get that from me. You got that from your mammy. And then like, I have to catch myself and be like, wait a minute. I chose her. Yeah. I laid down with her. You know, I just sit back and ask myself these questions. What made, you know, I got to hold myself accountable. And with during that time of me asking these questions, I could go back and say, okay, this is why I picked it up from. Also with these other people that I'm seeing this negative behavior in, I see where they getting it from. And it's an epidemic. I mean, it's going rampant throughout our community. So we really do. I've been reading that book live on Facebook every day. I'm telling everybody black, if they could get that book, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, get it, and you will find a lot of eye-opening explanations of why we carry on the way that we do. Because if you don't realize, like Curtis said, the breakdown of the family, how they took the father out the household, then you won't understand why some of these negative behaviors that we subconsciously put out in our communities survive.
Good deal.
Why they even breathe, why they even exist. Because the conversation shouldn't exist about a person saying something about you being like your dad in a negative connotation. Or the other way around. That shouldn't exist. Because I know in the 70s, 60s, and 50s, if a mother said that about the father, it was probably with a side of pride. But now it's not. Now if you hear that, 9 10 out of 10 is meant to be negative, unless you a mandingo to go out here and play football. Play some sports.
Exactly. Let me do this.
So,
let me pull a good deal. Good deal. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
Listening, always listening. Like I said, you know, I like to stay in my lane. You know, I listen to other people with issues because one thing the brother said that people need to understand is I believe that everybody has their own personal assessment that they need to do. You need to learn yourself first. You know, you need to learn about what it is that keeps you in the situation that you're always in over and over and over. And, you know, regardless of the mistakes that we made or what have you, I think some guiding principles that people should have, especially men. It is your responsibility to take care of yourself. And one, if you don't get that together up front to value yourself more than some chains and some shoes and all this other foolishness, you're gonna make a lot of bad decisions. You really are. And you know, even, you know, I'm on the side that, you know, I don't have no problem standing alone. So you know, even in a room full of other Negroes making excuses. Now when you're gonna call me at the point in this meeting when you decide to stop doing what you're doing. Because it's not, I mean, you can wish it all you want. You can talk about everybody else or what have you. If I want to know what's wrong with Kurt, I sit and I listen and I assess Kurt. I don't attribute nothing else except for what's related to Kurt. Because Kurt has value. Kurt is not every other black person in the world. Kurt is a human being. And he deserves the consideration of being an individual before he is anything else. Before he's black, before he's an individual with value.
That's good.
And so that's usually we're working with people one-on-one as individuals and teaching them that the value that they should have in themselves. Because one, it takes one to get with two, to get with three. You can't bring mess into a community and expect the community to get better. Because what happens is the mess poisons the community.
Exactly. Donald, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
I'm the last of 12. So who you think is more like my daddy? I don't know.
Right.
Who you gonna pick out? Who you gonna pick out and say you just like your dad?
Pick one.
Yeah.
Any, mini, mighty, mo. Any, mini, mighty, mo, bro.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I might be like my big brother.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Uncle Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had 12 brothers and sisters, 11 brothers and sisters, I believe, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So some people pattern their lives. You know what I'm saying is we're different.
Mm-hmm.
We grow from our neighborhood.
Yeah.
We act like people around us.
Mm-hmm.
We try to avoid. Sometimes people try to avoid being like their dad. I think like my kids, they try to do some of the things that I told them. I said, look at my mistakes, learn from them, and don't do that.
Mm-hmm. Good deal. Good deal. Frank, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
Man, you brothers are spitting some good stuff this morning, man. Not to try to get sidetracked, but I want to offer something that I've seen that I think is a mistake. You know, we grew, some of us grew up, all of us didn't grow up seeing this, but I know I did. I didn't see this from my dad, but I saw this in the neighborhood. And like somebody said earlier, I grew up on a block where everybody was married. You know, everybody had a mom and dad. You know, not to say that they were better than anybody else that had a single mom or single dad. That's just my reality. So the one thing that I did see as a flaw is this thing of your daddy eats first. I'm gonna make your daddy's plate, and then we gonna eat. What kind of example? Man, that is a horrible example. Mm-hmm. If anybody is going to wait to make sure that everybody eats, it's going to be me. Because as the head of the household, the one thing that I am or should be is the example. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of us have taken that into parenting, into I got a friend now, man. Me and him beef about that all the time because he has that mentality of I eat first. This is my chair. If there's only a little soda left, I get it. And I'm like, dude, what kind of example are you? That's such a selfish mentality. What are you teaching these boys? You know, and it's just, I think it was Leonard who was talking, who said that, you know, we really need to evaluate ourselves. And I did that at one point because I kept making mistakes with women, but I kept choosing the same woman. Mm-hmm. You know, there was certain things that I liked in a girl that was not good for me, but I kept gravitating to the exact same thing and kept having the exact same problems because I was picking the exact same person. That wasn't her fault or any of their fault. Who they were. That was the characteristic of that type of girl. And I kept wondering, well, why won't they? Because that's not who they are. Mm-hmm. You want something different. You need to be something different, but you also need to look for different traits.
Yep. Exactly. Bishop, what's on your heart right now?
I'm going to tell you, you know, that, like I said earlier, when the mother throws out a statement to her child, and if she's saying it out of anger, then that's not respectful to the child. Mm-hmm. And it puts him in a negative mindset. If she's saying it in a positive, then that's a good thing as well, you know, because now she's trying to build more character into him. And as my mother did with me, like I stated earlier, she's just trying to, in my opinion, boy, you're just like your daddy. You work. And my statement to my mom that I grew up in, that's told my children, I said, success is not giving us a thing. If you want to be successful, you got to go out there and do what you need to do. I agree with the fellas when it comes down to any woman that tries to denigrate a man, a young man, her son, because she's mad at the father. Whatever she get and the father have, that's where you leave it. Don't bring it to your child.
Mm-hmm.
You say anything, I want you to be better than your dad, or I want you to say something along those lines, you know. And in the black community, in our society, a woman will do what she can, not to only to build the man up, but she does what she can to try to tear him down and to demoralize him as a person. And that's why you do have different baby dads.
Please leave your message for.
Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to call somebody back.
Douglas.
Trying to call somebody back to call in. Go ahead. Go ahead, Bishop.
Because you have now built a wedge between yourself, the relationship that you could have had with that man if you tried to work with him and keep him in charge and keep him encouraged. But no, now you got to go find another baby dad.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing you know, there's another domino effect. She that's running around this man off with all her negative attitudes and conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it.
A good deal. Good deal. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother? Unmute your phone, Leonard.
Listen to what Bishop was just saying, or what have you, and you know, just to let people know, man, you have the ability to choose.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was able to see the worst in everything. So one, I mean, if I'm watching people dying next to me, guess what? I'm not going to be with them people dying if that's not what I want to do. You know, it's a lot of times it's so easy to attribute things to other things, but what you cannot do is attribute the resolution.
Mm-hmm.
You're responsible for that.
Yes.
You may be the one that breaks that behavior pattern,
mm-hmm.
but you have to do it. Like we always talk in negative terms, and I like what Frank was saying because he's the first one to really flip it about, you know, why was I always dealing with that same type of women? Women have
mm-hmm.
issues too.
Exactly.
You know, women will sit there, but see what women don't want to understand and don't want to accept is that by choosing to be as free as men and do what men do and try to claim that behavior, it has put you at a great disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
Because
mm-hmm.
you didn't understand your value and your worth, and now you want to know why it's so hard to get a husband. There are women that are walking in places picking up husbands. They just meet them or whatever, but you know what? They were doing those things that made sense. They were
mm-hmm.
going to school. They were getting an education. They have something to offer other than they behind. And one, when that woman presents herself, she presents herself a certain way. Now you can be mad and hate on that woman, but at the end of the day, if she's getting what she wants and you're not getting what you want, who has the problem?
Exactly. We have another caller from the 941 area code. What's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm calling from Florida.
Okay. What's your name?
Clifton.
Hey, Clifton. How you doing?
I'm good, man. And you?
Hey, doing good. Thank you for calling it, Clifton. We definitely appreciate you, brother. We're talking about, the topic is you're just like your daddy. You're just like your daddy. Clifton, what's on your heart when you hear somebody say that?
Yes, I'm from Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
I was born and raised in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I came, and when I was age of 8, I didn't see a dad around me. My dad didn't own me.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom had to struggle with me and 3 other kids. Your dad take care of them. He would help me in the wish way he could. But he have his own 3 kids. He was a cane cutter in Jamaica, so he didn't earn much money to even take care of his own 3 kids.
Mm-hmm.
So at the age of 12, I started work early, dropped out of school. And my dad did have money, but he didn't help me. I didn't come like my dad. I get 2 kids, that's 2 girls, and my oldest daughter is 42. I'm 64.
Mm-hmm.
And I lift myself up. I didn't have a bootstrap even to lift myself up with. But with the faith and the determination and the ambition I carry, not to imitate my dad, but to imitate the good things I see around me.
Mm-hmm.
I start lift up myself, and I buy my first car, work as a gardener in Kingston, Cherry Garden, and save and buy my first car for $7,000. And that car I buy, I didn't look back. I work that car, buy a second car. I buy 11 car. I barely could read because I didn't go to school. I went to England. I married my first wife. My mom didn't marry. But I imitate the best things that's around me. And I married. And we went to England, built a nice, beautiful house. We still didn't have our education. And so I didn't imitate the bad things around me because the ambition in me, he pushed me to do the good things. And okay, now, I lost my first wife, I married an ex-wife, and I come here. I'm a resident here now. And I came here, and by 3 months, I'm in this country. I get to work at Public Supermarket, and I'm there going 4 years now. And I didn't imitate the bad things around me. I see bad things, but I have guys around me who do bad things, but I didn't walk in their footsteps. Not even my daddy who didn't own me and take care of me. I didn't follow his footsteps. So
that's good.
A man have a choice of his own to choose good or evil, what he wants in life. You understand? You have a free will of choice. That's what God made us with, a free will of choice. Not even God himself won't intervene at times. But he gives us a free will of choice to choose good or evil. It's all around us, you know. It's all around us. So we're gonna choose the best thing we want to be in life. And I want to be something in life. And I come out to be something in life. Worthwhile. I'm not rich, but I have food on my table. I have 2 houses in Jamaica right now. I've done next pieces of land. I didn't see my dad buy no. He didn't have money. He live on lease land. He died on lease land. But I didn't imitate him. I come and said, I want a life of my own. I'm gonna use this health and strength that God gives me to better my life. When he died, I helped bury him, although he didn't take care of me. I helped bury him. But when he see my life, oh, it was turning and looking, he started asking me, oh, I do it. My daddy started asking me, oh, you do it. I said, with determination and the health and strength God gave me with 2 hands, I'm going to make myself a better man to show you that I can be what God created me to be.
Yes, amen.
So, imitate your father is a no-no for me. I don't accept it from no sons of no man. Child, I don't accept it because every man make with that free will of choice. And 2 road is before us, good and evil. You gotta choose. If you choose bad, it's gonna bad with you. If you choose good, it will good with you.
Good deal.
I choose good. I choose good, and here I am now living in America 4 years as a resident, working in Publix, going 4 years. I never get a ticket from a cop. I follow the road code. Maybe time I do a little speed. I do when I'm at work, I'm at my house. Today's my day off, I'm at my house. I don't mix with no bad company. As a 64-year-old man, I work hard, I save, and that's who I am. I didn't imitate my worthless father.
Good deal. Clifton, hold on for 1 second, brother. We definitely appreciate you, man. We definitely appreciate you. Leonard, what's on your heart? And our Bishop coming to you. No, actually, Frank, I'm coming to you next. What's on your heart, Leonard?
I really, identify with what the brother said because that's the solution. I mean, what I love about older black men is I can see where I can go. For a black man to be 64, 65, 60, whatever, older, and have gone through everything that they have gone through, to be able to still stand on their own 2 feet and they still say that they somebody. They still handling their business. They not blaming nothing on white men. You understand? These brothers get here and they sit. If you sit and you listen to the elder, they tell you the mistakes, the good things he's done, the bad things he's done. But what he does is he takes responsibility for it.
Yes, absolutely.
He tells you how he did that, like the brother said. He didn't have he's seen all the bad, so he just decided to do good.
Yep.
And as simple as it is, my grandfather would say the same story.
Yeah.
13 kids, that, move from all over the places, leaving at night from the south. Oh, you know what? He said, I kept going, son. I kept trying to make the best choice. It didn't always do the best thing. Sometimes they live long enough to tell you story. I remember when I stopped drinking 20 years ago. To be here to tell the story when alcohol used to be a crutch.
Yep.
Those types of things. So even as a child, I watched the people that were doing good and the people that were doing bad. And I chose to to try to be like those people doing good.
Good deal. Let me do this. We got a couple of callers on the line. I want to touch everybody, man. We only got a few more minutes, but I said I was gonna go to Frank, but Anna, I know you back on the line with us. Anna, anything on your heart right now before we go to Frank?
From the little bit, and you guys excuse me, I said at the beginning of the show I have some personal things going on, so I might have to go back and forth.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate your patience with me. I really liked what the brother just said, that I'm assuming it sounded to me as if he called from Florida. I may be wrong.
Yes.
And I like that. Also, Leonard, I love your views on that, and just the strength in a brother just being that strong to say, no, I'm not, that's not me. I'm going to be different. Felicia, I was able to hear some back and forth earlier. I absolutely love your passion. And I don't know, is she still on air?
No. She hung up.
Because I've had to go back and forth.
Yes, she hung up.
So when you do talk to her, Raheem, just let her know that I love her passion. And even though she slips up from time to time, hey, I used to slip up, and that's just, we're all a work in progress, and we get better as we continue to follow Christ. So tell her, it's just passion. I appreciate that in her.
Exactly. Anna, we gotta go. Anna.
I want. Go ahead.
I said we got to get out of here, Anna. I want to touch some more people.
Okay,
we got to get out.
Just men, continue doing what you do and continue following the Lord. And I guess that's the most important thing. And I'll leave it there.
Okay. Frank, what's on your heart? Quickly, Frank, I want to touch about 2 or 3 more people before we get out of here. What's on your heart, Frank?
Listen, this is going to be very quick. And if I can give the little time I have back to Christian, I want to ask him a question. I call this radio broadcast every day so people hear my voice. So I wanted to ask you, between when you said basically you had no support at all and you made a decision, can you talk to me about that time between that you made that decision and what the struggle was like until you got your first breakthrough, and what kind of faith you had to have to get from point A to point B?
Okay. And Christian, I don't want to rush you, but we got to get out of here, and it's time for us to go. So give us a quick version if you don't mind.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes. I always have a faith in me. I always have a vision in me. See where I was going. See what I need in life. I have a picture before me. I carry a picture all the time. That's where I want to be. As a young man, Paul, I did picture myself living Cherry Garden amongst the rich people. That's the vision I carry. And I'm going to reach there. I'm going to work hard and save my money. Yes, I make disappointment. I'm carried on by my own black brothers and in my country. But that didn't stop me from pursue the goal I want in life. With faith and God, we can do it. And stop blaming other people for our mistake. Because God give us our intellect to sort through what we want. And He will bring us through.
That's good. That's good. Wow. Bishop, what's on your heart?
Well, I tell you, this was a great topic. As usual, Raheem, my statement, man, God give to you, to God be the glory.
To God be the glory, yes, sir.
I appreciate, every man that disregards any negative statement that's applied to them, because you don't want to live in any negative, and I refuse to let anybody plant anything in my heart or my mind to make me feel like I'm less than a man. So I'm encouraged. I want to keep all the brothers encouraged and just keep moving forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Kurt, what's on your heart, brother?
The only thing I can say is everybody just spoke so eloquently and so gracefully about the situation and the circumstances. But I just want us all to remember the history of folks before we determine what kind of folks they are. Take the time to find out that person's history, that person's travel, before we predetermine who they are and why they're in the position that they're in. Len really said it very eloquently when he was talking earlier. And he was talking about, basically, I don't care, black, white, blah, 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 blah. I want to know who you are in so many words, what he was saying. If I'm going to do evaluation, I'm going to evaluate you for who you are, not what I believe you are. So I just remind folks that when we dealing with each other, take the time to find out who you're dealing with. It takes work. Take the time to find out who you're dealing with instead of having a preconceived notion of what you're dealing with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Donald Toussaint, what's on your heart, brother?
I think the best way for us to say and feel glad about being like your daddy is being like our father. Because he had the plan. He knows the plan that he has for us.
Yes.
So the more we know about him, the better off we'll be.
Absolutely. Rico, bring us home, brother. What's on your heart?
I'm gonna just leave it with this. It is wrong if the mother is telling the son that in a negative context, and it's wrong if the father is doing the same thing. And in both situations, we have to look and accept the fact that we made choices. We took on some values and made some decisions that we have to be responsible for and break that cycle.
Come on. Yes,
like everything that, especially with Curtis, like what Curtis said, we got to break that cycle. Observe history, know what went on before us, and wonder why is it different now. Look at what's going on and change it.
Exactly.
And you ain't gonna get me with the prayer today, but I'm gonna throw you a curveball real quick. Imagine a mother telling that son he just like his daddy. Then when he turned 12 or 13, he get a DNA test and find out he ain't his daddy.
Wow. See that's a left.
Kind of damage with that dude.
That's a left turn right there, brother. That's a huge left turn right there. Yes, sir. Donna say run and tell that. Okay. Anna, what's going on at 3:00 today?
At 3:00, if you missed the show, you can watch it in its entirety at dkmradio.com.
Absolutely. Hey, Leonard, Captain Leonard, pray us out, brother.
Dear Heavenly Father, once again, we'd like to thank you for this opportunity to come together with these brothers in unity, to talk about how it is that we apply all the life lessons that we learn from you, to give love back to our communities, to give love to our wives and our children. Please bless us, not just this generation, but all those that follow, that we change those things that we have messed up, that we fix those things that we have broken, and that we give you all the honor, the glory, and the praise for doing so. You are our greatest benefactor. Those one that I trust the most. These are the blessings I put in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right, great. Appreciate you, man. Listen, we're about to get out of here for today. It is now 9:08. It's 9:08. You're about to exit the Morning Glow. But before you go, I want you to do me two favors, if you will. One, I want you to continue to pray for us because we're certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number two, this is real simple. I want you to go out there, find somebody, and give them a hug because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you could do about it. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. Now we shine some of this light on you from the Morning Glow. Take it out there into this wicked and cruel world that we live in, and let your light so shine. Let your light so shine. Now, we're about to get out of here. Anna say the show need to go until 10 o'clock. I do agree. Yes, I think we need to maybe extend just another hour onto this thing, but we'll see how that works out. Me and my station manager will talk about that and see what we need to do to make that a reality. But right now, we're about to get out of here. Y'all have a great day. And
thank you very much, brother.
Hey, thank you, brother. I would definitely appreciate you calling. Now, call back in sometime, man. We're looking for you. All right.
I will, brother.
All right, good deal.
Thank you.
Love y'all.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Love you. Same here. Bye.
Bye.